Okay, well, this is a response to Academic Agent on his recent video response to Steve Shives. And first of all, I want to say, well, this is the first time I've ever done one of these videos, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But I did want to preface this by just saying that, I'm a fan of Academic Agent. Dude, I've been subscribed to your channel from pretty much the beginning. I think that you have a lot of good points. I'm definitely with you for the most part against the evil scourge of social justice warriors. I don't think that they're really evil. I think that they're mostly just misguided. But I don't think that they're completely wrong about most of their gripes about society. I think that they're generally just sort of, the degree of the gripes. Like they just have this sort of way of making everything 10 times worse than it really is. And I also don't agree with the way that they, most of their solutions, I think, are just batshit. But, having said that, that doesn't mean that those gripes are completely untrue. And so, when it comes to this particular question that you asked him, and his response about identity politics, while I am, again, on the same side as you, that I think that identity politics is completely the wrong track. It tends to separate us. I think it encourages people to think of each other as different rather than the same. I really wish that we could get back to the the mindset of the 80s and 90s where it was perfectly cool to tell your black friends that you didn't see color, because you didn't. You saw them as the same. At least you tried to. These days they're just pulling us apart and making it worse, and I agree with that entirely. But Steve's response was, well, essentially that I don't like the way he responded, but I think his point, if you're going to be charitable with it, is to say that a lot of black folks don't really get that choice. Okay, there are clearly racist people out there who look at them differently, and they are the ones who feel it the most. And therefore, for us to say, well, let's just bring it back to where there's no identity politics, they don't necessarily have that choice. I still think that we need to convince them that that's the only real way to move forward. But I don't think that we can deny that that's a truth, that they do feel that way. And you asked for hard evidence. Well, I think that there is some pretty good evidence out there for discrimination in the workforce and stuff like that. But let me just mention one thing that just pops to mind right immediately. And this isn't hard evidence, and I know that anecdotal evidence is LOL, but there's the concept of driving while black. Okay, I'm sure you've heard of this. I don't know if it's a thing over in Great Britain, but in the U.S. it is. Okay, and I've talked to lots of black people about this in all different ages and different areas of my life, from friends to college to the workforce now, and not a one of them has told me that it's not a thing, or you know what I'm saying? Like, they all say that they get pulled over for what they can't figure out, any reason. Okay, what am I saying? So, I get pulled over now from time to time, but I always know why I got pulled over. I was speeding, I ran a stop sign. I don't ever get pulled over and have to wonder, why did you pull me over? Or if I do, and that maybe it's happened to me once or twice in the past 20 years, it's always because I had a taillight out or something. It's not because I was a person of interest, or I fit a description, or, you know, the sorts of things that essentially show that the cop was profiling. Now, was he always profiling? No, of course. And that's what makes this so difficult, is that, sometimes the black person in the blue SUV did fit, a description, okay? And it's true that black folks tend to, they commit more crimes. And so obviously this is a hard problem, because there is a certain amount of truth to all of this, all the reasons why cops end up doing what they do. But let's not pretend like there isn't profiling and like there isn't discrimination, and that whether you want to call that oppression or not, I think that it is a degree of oppression. I think that whenever, if you were to be an adult who had a good job and worked for, a good company and were clean cut, and you got pulled over 2 or 3 times a year for some reason that you couldn't understand, just for driving through a neighborhood that you didn't look like you belonged in, I'm pretty sure that you would be a little fed up with that, okay? And that's just one example of, I think, a lot of different things that minorities put up with that I don't know what the solution is. I don't agree with most of the social justice warriors when it comes to how to solve this. But I don't think that we can ignore it or pretend like it doesn't exist and just laugh at them for it, okay? I think it's something that we need to figure out how is the best way to get rid of that. And I still think that the best way, unfortunately for them, is to just be patient and go away from identity politics and convince people that racism is stupid, and that eventually it will go away, or at least it'll go away enough that it's almost nothing. That's, I don't have any idea if that's actually true or going to happen, but I can't think of anything better at this point. And that's something that I think that the greater discussion will eventually, we'll come up with something. I think that I really like the idea of what, Lacey Green is doing, and even what you're doing, trying to talk to people on the other side. I think that these conversations are really better than what we've had over the past few years, which is basically everybody shouting at each other. So, with that said, this video's already too long, and I don't know how to edit, so thanks. I'll look forward to your response.